The lion and the mouse. Even the small can help the great deep in the heart of a green forest, where sunlight danced through the tall trees and the wind carried the songs of birds, lived a mighty lion named Suro. He was strong, majestic, and proud, the undisputed king of the jungle. His golden mane shone like fire when the sun touched it, and his roar echoed through the valleys like thunder. Every creature in the forest feared and respected him, from the swift deer to the slow tortoise, from the mighty elephant to the tiniest ant. Suro ruled with fairness, but he had one weakness. He was proud. He believed that only the strong mattered, that small creatures had little use in a world built on strength and power. Yet fate was preparing to teach him a lesson he would never forget. One warm afternoon, after a heavy meal, Suro lay down under a great banyan tree. The air was still. Only the sound of rustling leaves and distant birds filled the silence. Slowly, his eyes closed, and he drifted into a deep sleep. Nearby, a tiny brown mouse named Chiku was scurrying around, searching for food. Chiku was a cheerful little creature, curious about everything. He lived under the roots of the very same banyan tree and often played around it. Not realizing that the king of the forest was sleeping there, he climbed up onto the lion's paw, then over his mane and finally onto his nose, chasing a crumb that had fallen from a bird's nest. Suddenly, the lion's whiskers twitched. His golden eyes snapped open. With a mighty growl, he raised his huge paw and trapped the terrified mouse beneath it. "Grrr! Who dares disturb my sleep?" roared Suro, his voice shaking the leaves above. The mouse trembled. My lord, please forgive me. I didn't mean to wake you. It was an accident. Please let me go." Suro glared at the tiny creature under his paw. "A mere mouse dares to climb on the king of the jungle? Why should I spare you?" Chiku squeaked. "Oh, mighty king, I know I am small and weak, but if you forgive me, I promise someday I will help you in return." The lion burst into laughter. His deep, rumbling voice echoed through the forest. "You? Help me? A tiny mouse helping the king of beasts? Ha! That's the funniest thing I've ever heard." But he was in a good mood that day, and the mouse looked so helpless that even his proud heart softened. "Go, little one. I shall spare your life. But remember, you owe your life to my mercy." Chiku bowed low and scurried away, whispering, "Thank you, my lord. I will never forget your kindness." Days passed. The forest lived on in its rhythm, birds singing, rivers flowing, life continuing. Suro hunted when he pleased and rested when he wished. He often remembered that silly mouse and laughed at the thought of being helped by something so tiny. Yet far away in his burrow, Chiku often looked up at the big banyan tree and thought of the great lion. "He saved my life," he told his family. "Someday, I'll repay that kindness." Other mice in his colony teased him. "You? Help a lion? Don't be ridiculous," they said. "A lion doesn't even notice creatures like us." But Chiku only smiled. "Maybe not now," he said softly, "but one day, every creature has its moment." That moment came sooner than anyone could imagine. One morning, hunters entered the forest. They carried ropes, nets, and traps. They had seen the lion's footprints and planned to capture him alive, to sell him to a distant circus. They set a huge net trap between two trees and covered it with leaves. Later that day, Suro, unaware of the danger, went out hunting. He caught the scent of a deer and followed it swiftly through the bushes. The deer was clever and darted through the very patch where the trap was hidden. In his speed and pride, the lion leapt, and in an instant, the ground gave way beneath him. The world turned upside down. He roared in anger as he found himself hanging in the air, tangled in a thick rope net. "Grrrr! What is this sorcery?" he bellowed, thrashing and clawing. But the more he struggled, the tighter the net became. His mighty roars echoed through the forest. Birds flew away, monkeys climbed to the highest branches, and even elephants moved far from the sound. No one dared go near him. As the hours passed, the proud lion grew weaker. His claws could not cut the ropes. The sun began to set, and the once golden king now hung helpless, trapped, angry, and afraid. "I, the king of the jungle, reduced to this?" he murmured. "Is this how it ends?" Far away, Chiku heard a faint roar carried by the evening breeze. His tiny ears perked up. "That voice! I know it! That's the lion!" Without a moment's hesitation, he ran toward the sound. As he reached the clearing, his heart sank. There was Suro, caught in a hunter's net, exhausted and bleeding slightly from his struggles. Chiku ran closer. "My lord, don't be afraid. I am here." The lion turned his head weakly. "You? Little mouse, why have you come? Leave quickly before the hunters return. You can't help me." Chiku puffed out his tiny chest. "You once saved my life, my lord. Now it is my turn to save yours." Suro sighed. "The ropes are too thick for your teeth. Don't waste your strength." But Chiku only smiled. Even a small tooth can cut through strong ropes if it keeps trying. Without waiting, the mouse climbed up the net and began to gnaw at the ropes. His sharp teeth bit into the twisted fibers again and again. The rope was rough, his mouth hurt, but he didn't stop. One by one, the strands began to fray. The lion watched in silence, a flicker of hope lighting in his eyes. Hours passed. The jungle grew quiet under the rising moon. Chiku's jaws ached, his whiskers were covered in dust, but he kept going. Finally, with one last bite, the thickest rope snapped. The net sagged, then tore open. The lion fell free onto the ground with a heavy thud. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Suro slowly stood up, stretched his limbs, and looked down at his rescuer. His golden eyes, once filled with pride, now shone with gratitude. "Chiku," he said softly, "you saved my life." The mouse smiled, tired but happy. "You once spared me, my lord. I only returned your kindness." The lion bowed his great head. "I laughed at you once. I thought strength was everything, but you have taught me that courage, loyalty, and heart are far greater powers. You are no longer small in my eyes. From today, you are my friend, and a friend of the king is respected by all." The forest, which had watched the scene in silence, came alive with whispers. The birds chirped, the monkeys cheered, and even the trees seemed to sway in approval. News spread quickly. The mouse saved the lion. Soon, all the animals gathered near the banyan tree. The lion stood proudly beside the little mouse. He spoke to the crowd, his deep voice calm but powerful. "My friends, today I have learned a great truth. Never look down upon those who are small or weak. Every creature in this forest has its own strength. I was strong but foolish. This little one was small but wise. Without him, I would not be standing here." All the animals clapped, trumpeted, chirped, and howled in joy. The mouse shyly hid behind the lion's paw, and everyone laughed warmly. From that day on, Suro and Chiku became inseparable friends. The lion would often share his food with the mouse, and the mouse would tell him stories about the tiny world under the roots, of ants that built cities, of beetles that fought wars, of flowers that bloomed in secret places. Suro listened with wonder. For the first time, he understood that the world was full of miracles he had never noticed before. But peace in the forest did not last forever. One day, the hunters returned. Angered that their trap had been destroyed and their prey had escaped, they came with more men, more ropes, and more cruel intentions. They planned to burn parts of the forest to drive the animals out. Chiku, who was always alert, heard their footsteps and smelled the strange scent of smoke. He rushed to Suro. "My lord!" "The humans are back, and they have brought fire." Suro's eyes blazed with anger. "We will not run this time," he said. "This is our home. We will protect it." Together, he called an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered: elephants, monkeys, deer, birds, snakes, and even the timid rabbits. The lion roared, "Listen, my friends. Alone, we are weak, but together, we are strong. The hunters think they can control our forest, but they will learn that we are one family." The plan was simple but clever. The elephants would block the main paths by pushing down trees. The monkeys would throw fruits and stones to distract the hunters. The birds would swoop down and peck at their eyes. The snakes would hiss and scare them. And the mice, led by brave little Chiku, would chew through the ropes and destroy the traps. When the hunters entered, chaos broke out, not from fear, but from unity. The monkeys screamed and swung from tree to tree, pelting the men with mangoes and nuts. Birds dived from above, flapping in their faces. The elephants trumpeted loudly and stomped, blocking the paths. Chiku and his mouse army worked fast. They chewed through every rope, every net, every trap they found. Soon the hunters realized they were surrounded. Fire smoke filled the air, but before it could spread, the elephants used their trunks to throw sand and water onto the flames. The hunters panicked. They dropped their nets and fled the forest in terror, never to return. When the danger had passed, the animals gathered again. The air was filled with joy and laughter. The lion looked around proudly. "Today," he declared, "we fought not as big or small, strong or weak, but as one." Then he turned to Chiku. "You led them all, little friend. You have not only saved me, but saved our home. You are the true hero of this forest." Chiku blushed and said, "I only did what any friend would do." The lion smiled. "That is why you are great, because your heart is pure." From that day on, the forest thrived in peace. The animals no longer judged each other by size or strength. The lions shared food with the monkeys, elephants helped build shelters, and even the smallest ants were treated with respect. Every evening, when the sun dipped below the horizon, Suro and Chiku would sit beneath the banyan tree, the same place where their friendship had begun. The lion would say, "You have taught me humility, little one." And the mouse would reply, "And you have taught me courage, my king." The wind would whisper through the leaves, carrying their laughter far and wide. The story of the lion and the mouse spread beyond the forest, carried by birds and travelers, told to children around campfires and in cozy homes. And so the legend lived on, a story of friendship, courage, and the simple truth that no one is too small to make a difference. For kindness is never wasted. Even the smallest creature can change the fate of the mighty. The end.